Hey, it's the greatest love of all, and I believe it starts with family. God bless you. I am Pastor Tabatha C. Whitten. Oh, God, I'm super excited to greet you tonight, this final Wednesday in the Focus on the Family series. I'm really praying you've been blessed, and I believe tonight is going to be nothing less than a blessing for you and your family. So you know what I want you to do? I want for you to make sure that you click share right now, because I want to make sure that we include people north, south, east, and west in for this soul session. Let me tell you tonight, we're speaking next generation. I know Generation X. Some people are like, I'm too old to be the next generation. But Generation Next, X, it just represents the individuals that are birthed from the families that we've been speaking of, and that's the married families, that's those single families, that's those blended families. We call it foster adoption, let's say forever families, and of course, those from the, did I say single? Single families. Tonight, we're talking to their babies. We're talking to the parents' babies, the babies of these families, because I believe that they have messages, they have experiences, and if we're going to make the family whole, then we want to make sure that we pay attention to their soul. So once again, God bless you. Thank you for joining us. One more time, don't forget to share. Let me introduce to you tonight our guest. I'm super excited to have the conversation with my sister, Renisha Carter, and my brother, the young minister, Kevon Hearn. We call him Kevo around here at the Remnant Fellowship Ministries. So if I say Kevon, and it's Kevon, some of you are like, that's not his name. It's what we call him around here. So I'm excited. We call you the Generation X NeXt. And so we know that you have something to share, something to say, and what it is that God has allowed you to experience has been, I think, important enough for us to make sure that we begin to continue this conversation with the next generation. Amen. So why don't you do this, Renisha? Let me say, you are representing married, blended, single, or forever family.
So I am representing blended families.
Blended families. Okay. Kevo, you're representing married, blended, single, or forever.
I'm representing single families.
Single families. Okay. And I'm going to represent forever families and any other family that I need to represent tonight. But one more time, I want you to get your family. I want you to get a pen and a pad, because I believe tonight you're going to get some things that can help you with your family. So let's talk tonight. I think that I'd like to just kind of get a sense of your dynamics. You represent blended, you represent single. Tell me a little bit. We'll start with Renisha. Tell me a little bit about your family, your makeup, and tell me a great thing about family as it relates to your situation.
Oh, okay. I'm Renisha. I am a part of a blended family.
Okay.
My mother married, and with that, I got blended into another family. So,
Talk to me about the blend.
so, well, I was with my mom, and I have a sister with my mom, and then she married Pastor Baker, and he had two daughters, so we blended that family together.
Okay.
And he is also a pastor, so I came into that church life as well, even though we were a part of a church before, but never in a pastor's family position. So that was also something that I had to learn as we grow.
Okay.
And so that is where we are. We are now a happy blended family.
Happy blended family. I love that. And your mother and your father, I think, are watching. Would you say, hey?
Hi.
Okay, Kevon, talk to me.
I'm Kevon. I come from a single parent home.
Single mother, single father.
Single mother.
Single mother, okay.
My dynamic is just I take after my mother.
Okay, take out your mom. Your parents, were they ever married?
Yes, ma'am.
They were married. You ever lived with the two or just the one?
Just the one.
Just the one. Okay, let's go. So I think in families, there are lessons that are, I would say, learned lessons left, and lessons for life. Okay, so one more time, you know that's the preacher in me. Lessons learned, lessons left,
Okay.
and then lessons that I believe could be for life. Now, that's not necessarily the preacher in me, that's the professional. My work with families have long taught me to make sure that we identify the areas that are most significant. And so I want to talk about lessons learned from your family, because I do believe that every situation has something that it passes down. So we're going to play a game of cards, and I want you to think, for those of you that are watching, I want you to think about your family's dynamic in terms of the lessons learned. My sister is representing a blended family. My brother is representing a single family, and I'm representing forever families. So if I'd ask you in a game of cards, tell me the lesson you learned, Raynisha, from your family about family, what would that be?
Okay, so what I learned about family from my family, I have learned that family doesn't necessarily mean blood.
Okay.
I have learned family means relationship and bond.
Okay.
It also includes blood as well, but you know, we have all kinds of people that come into our lives and become family through relationships and growth and you know all of those things. So I've learned that blood doesn't necessarily make you family, and be open to that.
Blood doesn't necessarily make you family. I love that. Let's go. Kevon.
I've learned from my family to always stick together,
Okay.
to work as a unit and a team. There are things that we can help each other with, lessons to be learned from each member of the family,
Okay.
strengths and weaknesses that bind us. And I've learned to open up and to talk to each other about some of the situations we may be dealing with, because you may not be alone in certain areas.
Okay, wow. Now let's stay right here with you and talking about growing up in a single parent home. You said you may not be alone in certain situations. I'm going to ask, are there ever times when you feel like your situation with your mother kind of is like husband and wife and not just son and daughter? And that's not in a perverted kind of way, but just because of the weight and the responsibilities with the structure that you have. Do you sometimes feel like you have a wife and not just a mother? Your
Oftentimes,
mom's not gonna be mad.
oftentimes, yes.
Most times, yes.
Other times, it feel like the roles are reversed.
Okay.
Sometimes, I feel like I'm maybe the parent,
Okay.
and um, yeah, there's a lot of things to learn on both sides.
Okay.
You know.
So, what do you think the one thing that people say about mothers raising sons? What is the one thing you think that's said that's not true?
That a man is needed.
Wow. Whoa! Slow down. Talk slow, because I know we want to hear about that. Why do you say that?
I say that because coming from a single family home, it was a struggle for me as a child to watch my mother have to play both roles. I spent time with my dad, and I visited, and I appreciated him as a father, but my mother had to play both roles for the majority of my life. And that entailed working a lot, trying to provide everything, and then to support me in school and my dreams and anything that I wanted to pursue in life.
Okay.
It took a lot.
And you don't. So
emotionally-
when you say you don't think a man is needed, you're saying that you don't think you lacked anything because your father wasn't in your house.
I don't think that I missed out on anything.
Okay. Wow. So you don't think you missed out on learning how to be a man because your dad wasn't in the house?
No, ma'am. I think that she adapted.
Okay. Wow. I think that's interesting, because I'm telling you, everybody says that we need men in the house with their boys. And let me say that I believe that we need families. That's what I believe. And I do believe that I believe for the welfare and the well-being of our children, I think God's intent has always been for mom and dad to be together. But I also believe that my grace, let me go on and say it, that God's grace is sufficient, and whatever your condition, he's able to fill the voids. Now, that's what I believe. Please don't write me no hate mail, and don't say that I'm against family, because I'm not. But I'm against the truth. And so sometimes we feel like mothers, single mothers, I want to speak to them specifically. Single mothers feel like they cannot raise their boys, or society give them an additional pressure that something's going to be wrong with their boys because their dad is not in the house. But just because he's not in the house doesn't mean that he's not in your life. And I think that that's the thing that we want to make sure that we keep forward. How about that? Whoa. All right, because you have sons.
I do have sons. I have 2 sons.
And are you a single parent?
I am a single mother, yes.
Okay, you're a single mother. And do you, I'm diverting a little bit, but because you represent not just a blended next generation, but you also represent a single family with boys.
Yes.
Do you feel pressure about being single with your sons?
So, I'm not sure if I feel pressure because I have sons. I think I feel pressure to make sure my children don't feel like they missed out on anything because they were a product of a single-parent home. I also feel like, I probably, don't hate me, okay?
No hating.
No hating. I, too, feel like single mothers get pressure because there's not a father there, and they say that, a woman can't raise a son. I don't agree with that. I think both parents are equally important, but there are plenty of men who were raised by mothers who are strong men. However, in saying that, I do try to make sure my sons have male examples in their lives.
Okay, good
so, deal. I do want them to have that male influence in their life, positive male influence. So
Right.
I'm not going to say it's not important. It is. My sons have great grandfathers. And
Shout out to the grandfathers.
Yay, yes. And I am very, very appreciative of that. And it is an important relationship. So I do think it's important, but I don't think it's
It's not a break the deal if you don't.
correct. I don't think
Okay.
it's a break the deal.
Okay,
think
well, let
so.
me just give a shout out to all the single mothers that's doing a fine job with their sons. And let's give a shout out to single dads who are doing phenomenal jobs with their children. How about that?
Yes.
Let's go. Let me talk to this about family lessons from you all's dynamic. Tell me about you have family traditions that you've learned from your family?
No family tradition.
No traditions.
Yes, we have family traditions.
Okay, what's a tradition?
Well, let's see. One of our biggest ones is Christmas.
Okay.
So we go to the matriarch of our family's house, cook dinner. That's our tradition. We also, because my bonus dad, we'll call him, his birthday is Christmas Eve.
Mhm.
That is a big tradition. We have some
Breakfast.
kind of celebration, usually
Yeah.
breakfast.
Yes.
Usually it's a breakfast celebration for him. That has become a very big tradition. So there are traditions that we have
Okay.
in our family. Yes.
Okay, well, let's talk, since we have these dynamics that are a little bit outside of what family is usually carved out as. In a blended family, do you feel, I heard you say your bonus dad. What do you call your bonus dad? And what do you call your blood dad?
So my father, I call him dad, and my stepfather, I call him pops, or he's my bonus dad.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, and did you feel pressured to come up with an appropriate name, or how did that form?
No, I did not feel pressure to do that. For a very long time, oh, I love him to death. Okay, so for a very long time, I called him Pastor Baker.
Even wait, whoa, whoa, whoa! Even as a daughter in the house.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I called him. Then, as we as we formed relationship, then he became pastor. A little less formal, but
Okay.
and then now I call him Pops.
Okay. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
So it went from Pastor Baker
Mm-hmm.
to pastor
Mm-hmm.
to pops.
Yeah.
Okay. So having situations where there are other individuals in the lives of your parents that are not your biological fathers, how do you feel? What's the experience engaging with that other individual? Because you don't have to have a marriage, but even just dating, or, in your situation, marrying, and then you not only had a bonus dad, but you had bonus siblings. What does that feel like? Is there jealousy? Is there insecurity? Is there resentment? Is there anger? What does that feel like? Because I want to know. So many times we encourage parents to live their lives. You got to live, and you got to, go on to the next part of you. And I believe that even when they determine to move forward, and that's with someone else, it is with the idea and understanding that there's someone connected. But we don't ever talk a whole lot to the individual children about what they feel. What is that like? What does that feel like?
I would say it's a lot of uncertainty
Okay.
for the child. It's a lot of uncertainty, and to any parents, I would just say be on your guard about the child's emotions.
Be on your guard about the child's emotion. When you say be on your guard, what does that mean for the parent that's, kind of hard-headed? The child can't tell me nothing. They don't feel nothing. They feel what I say. What is it when you say be on guard? What does that mean?
It's a lot that it was a lot of misconceptions about what children go through emotionally. Children are more emotionally sensitive,
Okay.
and it's a constant mind race. It's a lot going through the mind, in young years.
Okay.
So I would just say be on your guard about even the child's influences, because a lot of their influences dictate their emotions.
I like it. That's pretty good, young man. So be careful that you are watching and in touch with what happens with your children. Now, because I'm coming to you, but did you feel able to talk about, or are you even aware of what you're feeling? Because many times I've learned that children are having emotions that they can't even express. They don't even know I'm mad. They don't even know. Is that a misnomer? Are we out of sync with even that? Do you know what you're feeling? And do you feel like we sometimes don't permit you to express what you're feeling?
In most cases, it's the child feeling a certain type of way or having an opinion about certain things, and it's a parent who says, I'm older than you, I lived longer than you. You don't really have any wisdom on this subject. So most times it's difficult for the child to express themselves, and they bottle everything up, which causes, things like depression and anger.
Okay. Wow. Okay. What are your experiences? Your mother is marrying another man, and there are other children. What does that feel like? What did that feel like for you? Because everybody's different, but we're just trying to get a voice from someone who's had that situation.
So for me, I was 16.
16.
When
Wow.
they got married.
Okay.
So my thought was, you know what, do whatever makes you happy. I'm going to be gone in 2 years.
Oh.
So that was my thought, probably verbatim what I said. I'm not sure. But that's
So it didn't matter? You really, or did it matter and that was just your way of isolating?
It did matter.
Okay.
And
Did you feel
but
like your mom was cheating? I mean, even though your parents were divorced or not together, did you feel like she was cheating? Like, you're not supposed to, this ain't how this supposed to go.
no, I didn't feel that way. No, I didn't feel that way.
Of course you're going to say that.
No, but I did feel like we were great, just me and you. Why do we need?
Why are you messing
Why
up
we
this?
did?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I did feel that, but nothing about
Okay.
about that. But yeah, it was. I think for me also, I had that feeling because I wasn't interested in forming a relationship because, bad experiences before, I was shut off to it. So I think that I know that made it harder.
Okay.
So
How did you act? Can you tell me?
I
When you
was
say it was,
bratty.
tell me what's
I
bratty.
I would go to my room and stay in my room. I would, you know, be like, oh, do we have to? Do I have to do this? Why are we doing this? I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a part of this. So I was hard to deal with, I'm pretty sure.
So let's stop right there.
Okay.
Because in dealing with a blended situation where you have a you that's going through some things, as an adult now, tell me, or not even as an adult, but tell me right now what you think would have helped your transition to be a little better. What you think? It's just, I mean, looking
Right.
back, maybe if we'd have done, or maybe if this had happened, or is it just not something that you can make better?
I don't know. I'm sure there were things that could have been done differently. However, I think what really moved the situation forward and um, helped build a relationship was I had parents that kept trying.
Okay.
Even though I may have been difficult.
That is so good.
I believe Pops was trying to form a bond and didn't stop because I was resistant.
That is so good.
Yeah, I think, and not in a forceful way, just, in like a secure way. So that I felt comfortable,
Right.
enough to trust you enough to let you in.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Don't stop trying. I hear her saying, if love is the bond with the parents, even when the children are not all in. I heard some of the parents a couple of weeks ago make the same suggestion to give it time, let the process, work through the process. And so I hear you saying, yeah, that's good from parents, but from my point, being the person in that situation needing to get to a place of acceptance, thank God he didn't stop trying. Okay. Did you do things deliberately to try and make him stop trying?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't do that. No, me?
Of course you
no,
didn't.
No, me?
Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's say this. I want you to answer this. One thing my parents thought really mattered, but it didn't, is what? From a single parent home, from a blended situation, what's the one thing your mom always drilled or seemed to drill that she really thought was the number one thing that, you got a little bit older and, it's like, that was nothing at all? Let's not say nothing. Let's say it just wasn't as priority or didn't matter as much as you thought it did.
I would say
You want me to see if she watching?
I would say
We're going to come back.
Yeah.
Right? I was sitting here thinking, like, I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't have anything that I can think of.
Okay. You don't
Yeah.
think there's anything that they thought mattered that you really don't think matters that much?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's go here. Tell me what your parents taught you about values and how did they teach you about values?
I was taught to never depart from my values, actually. When I was
Like, tell me
baby,
one of the values that you were taught, like something that matters.
integrity. Stay
Integrity,
true to
staying
integrity.
true to telling the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so tell me how you were taught to tell the truth. Did you get a lot of whippings?
Yeah, I was a bad kid.
Are you kidding?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't believe it. Okay, wow.
No, but I was raised in a Christian home, and actually, as a baby, my mother read the Bible to me in the womb. So
Now I'm not going to even ask you if you remember that because
most of that it comes from the Bible. So
okay,
I was told to tell the truth based on Scripture, and
Okay.
a lot of my values come from Scripture.
okay.
And as my mother, she just told me to never depart from,
Tell
what
the
I was
truth,
told.
regardless. Tell the truth. Wow, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so and one of the ways that she taught you to tell the truth was whooping you when you didn't tell the truth. How? Let me ask you this. No shade, no point intended. Because many times, I know as adults, or I'm going to say as those that are trying to train and lead, we say, you do as I say do. But sometimes what I'm saying to do and what I am showing to do are two different things. Now I'm asking this is not a knock, but I'm asking is sometimes have you found it that parents speak one language but they practice something else?
Always.
Okay, I love you're
Always.
okay, always. Talk to me about values. What are the values that you learn from your family?
Well, so one that I remember particularly, my mother always says, your word is your bond. That has stuck with me forever.
So that again becomes that honesty thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is one value that sticks with me. I growing up in a Christian home, of course, we have our Christian values that we
Why does it feel like
are
And have you always appreciated the values that you?
No.
Of course.
No, of
Okay.
course not. As a teenager, I thought, oh, they're just trying to stifle me. I can't do what I want to do and be who I want to be. And but now as an adult, I
Right.
appreciate those values that were instilled in me. I appreciate my parents not letting me do all the things that I thought I wanted to do.
Wow.
Because of course they knew. So I appreciate now, but growing up it was.
Well, absolutely.
No.
I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you about your own life and how you're living your life now. Do you think it pretty much mirrors what you were taught, or have you kind of come up with your own lane as it relates to family and values and, what you believe is important?
I would say that I've, strayed to my own lane. I've kept all of the values, but as you said just a few seconds ago, people say one thing and live another. So
Mhm.
just kind of watching my family, I've learned to navigate into staying into those values and not deviating from them.
Okay. Okay.
So I live the values that my parents taught me. There are some things that I didn't want to do as a parent raising my children.
Do you have problems sharing any of those?
Well, I think culturally, we don't talk about or didn't talk about difficult issues in the family, things that were, just hard to talk about. I try to not, or I try not to have my children feel like they can't come to me and talk to me about something. I try to maintain an open door policy, or hey, you can come and talk to me about anything, and not just saying that, that you can, and then in the back of your child's mind, you're like, I can't talk to mom about anything. So with my sons, I have really tried to tell them that and be an example of that as well. So we talk about the hard things age appropriately.
Okay. So do you think you have different ideas about what's hard? Because, see, I think that when we say, I want to make sure that they can talk to me, or, we can talk about anything. I think sometimes in our minds, we still have ideas about what that means, and sometimes the things that maybe children really or youngsters really need to talk about, they don't feel like they can talk about that. I mean,
Right.
So do you think that really is based upon, like, for my mother, my friends had difficulties talking to their mother about sex and birth control and that kind of thing. That was not our problem, because
Okay.
my mother was a teen mother, and she absolutely wanted to make sure, so the sex, I mean, probably anything, we could tell you, but then there were other things, as open as we could be about sex, and are you feeling funny, or
Yeah.
But there were other things that you just knew you
Okay.
couldn't. I mean, so I was just wondering if, even in your own sincere way, there's still some things that kind of like lines can't be crossed.
Of course, and I think that's individualized. I think something that may be hard for me to talk about may not be hard for the next person to talk about. And I also think that's relationship as well, because I may have, like you had an easy time talking to your mother about sex. I did not. And so I think it just depends on where that is. Now, I didn't have an easy time talking with my mother because of me, not because of her.
Okay, that's good.
It wasn't anything that she did. I just somehow felt like I didn't want my mother to know that about me. I didn't want her to have
Right.
a shame feeling about me and about my thoughts. I thought I was strange, So I don't.
Did you ever cross that hurdle?
We did.
Okay, and I'm only saying that because I know that there's a parent that's dealing with the situation with the child that's possibly shut down and they're not talking. And the
Right.
parent could very well feel that, it's on them. But I
Right.
hear you saying sometimes it's not on you at all.
It's not.
Okay.
It's your parents can do everything right and still somehow your perception of it is
That's right.
is different from theirs.
Right.
And raising children, there are no instructions, and there are no two kids alike, whether they have the same parents or not. So it's all individualized. I think you just have to be open to evolving with each person of your family, because you can't do the same thing with one child
That's right.
that you can with the other.
And do you think that depends on time or that depends on type? Okay, so there are things, because we have this idea about y'all, and I know you two have a little bit of gap between your age.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But we have this idea that times dictate things have to be different. Do you think that it's not necessarily the time, it's the type, the personality, the individual that you're dealing with? I mean, because I think there are some things, I think truth is truth. Now, I think the way we approach it, I think it may be different. I think respect is respect. I think that, there's no way. I think maybe I don't know how you communicate that differently. But I'm just saying, I think there's some things that are, it's like, it's just a given. It's just what it is. But then there are other things that time has kind of caused us to change our mind about it, and then there are other things that it's not necessarily the time, because I mean, even the way we dress.
Right.
I mean,
I think it's both of those things. I think it is time and individual. I have my oldest son I had when I was much younger, and I had a different way of thinking. And now I have my...
Oh, whoa, hold on. So you're saying that with your older son, your thoughts are different from with your younger son?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
Well, for one reason, I had my oldest son when I was 19, and then I had my younger son when I was 33. Nobody is the same person.
We young parent people, we just get a rough time. So wait a minute. Okay, or is it rough, or is it a easier ride? Let me see here.
Wow, you know what? Good question. Some things I feel are easier when you're younger.
Okay.
And I feel like some things are easier when you're older. And you're just in a different place in your life, and you have more experiences. Wisdom changes you.
Okay.
When you know more, you learn more. The saying is what? When you know better, you do better.
That's the saying.
That's the saying. The more I went through life, I changed as a person. Not completely, but there are lots of things about me that changed from 19 to 33.
Okay.
I am not the same 19-year-old mother to my son that I was when I was a 33-year-old mother to my second son.
Wow.
There is no doubt about that. I did have to have the conversation with my oldest son and let him know that...
Oh, wait a minute. What's them eyes? Wait a minute.
Well, because...
you did the eyes and the shoulder. What that mean?
He's witnessing me being different. And, you have to explain, okay, listen.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, and that goes along with having open communication with your children as well, because that could have been definitely something that I said, boy, whatever, you're just thinking that or making that up in your mind. I don't treat you any differently,
Okay.
Not saying that I treat them differently. They're raised differently. I'm a different person. I'm a different parent. I think my values to the core are the same, and I teach them, the same about respect and God and relationship and being a good human being and, family values. I think all of those are the same.
Okay.
But I have a different approach to how I do it.
How you do it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it is time and individual.
Time and individual. Let me ask you, do you think you would be different? I mean, have you ever thought how life would have been different if you had grown up in a traditional, your mom and your dad were together? Do you ever think about how that would have been? And are you ever angry? I mean, have you ever been mad that you didn't have that, both of you?
I've never been angry, but I've definitely thought about it.
Okay.
My dad was a big sports buff, so I think if, I did grow up in a traditional home, I would have definitely followed in his footsteps and played football.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So for me, I actually, this is going to sound bad. I actually like that my parents weren't together.
You what?
I did. I was like, oh, this is great. I get 2 houses, 2 Christmases,
Wow.
2 birthdays. This is lovely.
Wow.
So that's probably not I don't know if that's a good way.
That's a good way. That's a truth way. That's a truth. And
Yeah.
that's what we're looking for. We're trying to get into the minds of the experience of the next generation, And so sometimes while we are, as parents, sometimes feeling guilty that we didn't gut it out. Sometimes our kids are glad. This is good for me. Whoa. I don't know. I mean, something was wrong with me. I always thought, having both my parents would have been better. And I always, and I don't know if it's something about us that always long for what we just haven't lived. There's something about a door for the enemy to cause us to feel like we're missing something, always. And so I always, and especially because I had such a young mother, I thought my mom, my mom was the cutest. Don't be mad. My mom was always the cutest. I mean, my mom was a hip, and she kept us in a particular kind of way. But I always wished that my dad had been there. So of course I never said that. But yeah, I always wished and thought of what that could have been like. So much so that even as an adult, there were times when my father, who wasn't living in Texas at the time, would come and visit, and everybody would be together, my mom, my dad, and my sister, and it'd be like, and my mother would say, no way, we ain't having it. So I just wonder if you ever thought things could be different or better, or if you thought you'd be different. You think you would have. You don't know that you would have.
No.
Okay. I know your father's passed on. Our condolences about that. Are you in relationship with your father?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have a
Good relationship?
Yes, we
Now,
do.
I asked y'all, too, was there ever any mama, daddy drama?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know
Not
of.
not that I know
Okay.
of. So.
And with you? No? Okay. Well, I think it's good. Let's do this. Let's take it to a direct message. I want to talk to two people. I want to talk to the parents. I want for you, from the place when your parents when your mother, since you were with your mother, was about to connect and you all were about to be blended, what is the thing that you would just like to say to a woman that's in her situation? What's the message you'd like to say to her to help her possibly as things are moving, speaking on behalf of that child that's involved?
What I would like to say is to keep trying, give it time. I think it is the adult's responsibility to keep trying, to try to form that bond. Give it time, not be forceful with it, act in love and security, build trust, build all those small things that build and form a relationship, and understand that it takes time, and there is no right time. This isn't going to happen in 6 months. It may not, just as long as you are doing something to keep trying, eventually it will smooth its way out and it'll work.
Eventually it'll smooth itself out, or it'll be time for them to get out, right?
Either or, whichever one.
But you're still family, and so
You're
what we
still
really
family.
want families to be able to, whatever their dynamic is, we really want families to be well. And so I hear you saying, Mom, give it time. Dad, give it time.
Give it time.
What would you say to a single mother with a son, and possibly there are things that the son is experiencing or thinking? How do you encourage, or what things would you like to put on the mind of that single mother in dealing with her son?
First, I would say to the single mother, you have all that you need to raise your son the way that you desire to raise your son. In regard to the son's emotions, I would say the best place for the mother to be is in prayer, because she's going to need it.
What?
Yeah.
What's your Cash App? I think these people may want to
I
give you
know,
all
right? Listen, I'm mental notes.
Wait a minute. I love that. I love that. And what would you like to say to the young man that's dealing with a single mom? I mean, what sense of wisdom, encouragement could you release to him?
To him, I would say, love your mother and respect her. They're not always right, but they do love you. And not being in your shoes, they are more wise than you are. It is imperative to listen to that wisdom
Wow.
because it will keep you from a lot of, having to isolate yourself when you get yourself into situations
Wow.
that wisdom would have kept you out of.
Wow. Boy,
Yeah.
who's your pastor? Let me ask you this. Do you ever see yourself in your parents? Do you ever see your parents, I should say, in you? I know that your situation, because again, we're talking about life and how life has lessons. And those are lessons that are learned, lessons that sometimes are left. And then I'd say lessons for life. I say in your life, can you see your parents in you?
Definitely. Sometimes I see a little stubbornness,
Okay.
and I know
Who's stubborn?
My mom.
Whoa.
I know exactly where I get that from. Yeah, sometimes I see a little stubbornness, and the sleep situation.
Sleep?
We're big sleepers, and
Wait a minute. I never heard anybody say we're big sleepers.
We're big
What does that
sleepers.
mean?
For me, I will fight you if you try to wake me up.
Wow. Big sleepers. I promise, I ain't never heard nobody say that.
And she doesn't like to be woken up, especially if it's not for anything important.
Okay. Oh, see, I thought you just saying y'all just like to sleep.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying also? You just like to sleep?
Not like daytime sleep.
Okay, okay. Because I was going to say, man, we got another word for that. Do you ever see your parents in you? Some of the things you're doing, like, psh, that is.
I do actually, and I see all three of my parents in me.
Love it.
Even my bonus dad, I have some attributes of his as well.
I love it. Wait a minute. Let's take a pause because he told us he's a big sleeper. He's stubborn. He knows he's like his mom. Please tell me one thing from each one, especially since you said
each
three
one?
parents. Yes, come on.
Oh, okay. So you trying to put me on the spot? Okay. So
You look just like your mom. You sound just like your
Do
mom.
I?
Oh my God! And all of your mannerisms. I mean,
Well,
and I love her. I
well,
love her.
good. I
So
do too.
I mean, in the way that you say what you say, all of that is so your mother.
So yes, I see a lot of my mannerisms, my speech. Definitely got that from her. From my dad, my biological dad, I got my love for cooking from him.
Okay.
I got that definitely. From my bonus dad, I don't know if he'll be happy with me saying the attributes that we have alike.
Please do. Please tell me. Please.
We kind of have a no nonsense way about ourselves. So we have that in common. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. I don't think they're bad. I think
That's
they're
not
good
bad.
things.
No
Yeah.
nonsense. I'm with it. 3,000. Yes. Okay. So, regardless of your situation, has that created some sense of distaste or disdain for family for you?
No.
No.
No. Okay. Would you ever think that you will be married?
No.
Wait a minute. No. Okay.
God's plan.
God's plan. Okay. So you don't know if you think about marriage, so you don't know would you ever marry someone with kids?
So let me say this. I do not. I'm gonna say what this young man said. God's plan. Renisha's plan is I don't desire to be married, but I'm open to it if that's what God has for me.
Okay.
I cannot say that I wouldn't marry a man that has children because I have children. I feel like that's a double standard.
Okay.
I do know, because of my experience, the difficulties it is to blend a family together. So I'm not opposed to that at all. I know that the work involved into that, so I wouldn't be opposed to it. So I would never say that I wouldn't marry a man who had children.
Okay. Okay. And you're just saying whatever God's will is. Okay. All right. Will you raise your children like you were raised?
No, most definitely not.
No. And I'm not going to push that, but no.
So
Your parents are watching.
yeah, I know, and I'm gonna say this. I absolutely now as a parent, my parents did not do a bad job of raising me. So would I raise my children the same way? I think I do, with some little minor adjustments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I want to tell you one more time. I bless God that both of you represent a sense of family and a dynamic that we want to consider as NeXt. Both of you still give us hope for the family. And both of you are saying that there are situations as with any other situation, and for sometimes we think that things are being lost or you're not receiving anything. I think I'm hearing from both of you that have lived very different situations that that's not always true. And at the end of the day, because you still believe in family, we know that you're part of family. And I want to say that I want to release a blessing over your family because you already got a family. You already have a family. You already have a family. And so I wanted to say that the things that you've learned, live them. The things that have worked to give you good life, keep allowing them to give someone else good life. And more than anything else, because you represent the NeXt, I want to make sure that you don't forget the tree that you came from. Always give honor and always do whatever you can to be a blessing back to the blessing that God has allowed to be extended to your life. How about that? There's a song that says, I believe the children are our future. I want to tell you that our future is not coming. Our future is now. And if we really want to preserve family, I want to say that this is the day to remember that you must give some focus to your family. I want for us not to forget that every facet of family matters. The parents matter, the children matter, and every other entity that's connected. Maybe you are a blended family. Maybe you're a single family. Maybe you're an individual that is fortunate enough to have a forever family because of adoption and or foster. Maybe you are just from a traditional family. God bless the family. That's what I want to say. God bless the family. And not only focus, but tonight I really want to encourage you to fight. Fight for your family. Fight to hear from those that are coming up the rear. Fight to honor and value. Fight to keep lending down what I believe is going to give life, and that's love. So if we're focusing on the family, I'm saying fight for your family. How you gonna fight? You just keep loving. Keep loving. I want to say real soon we're going to be launching the next endeavor to really try and build family. We're going to put it on the road. I want to say to you right now, don't forget the thing that matters most to God is relationship. And I believe at the base of that is a family. Whatever you have to do, whatever you have to release, what posture, what practice, what sometimes flaky, perverted principles to preserve your family, it's worth it. God loved family so much that he gave his only son, Jesus. I want to say, do the work to make sure that your family stays well. Focus, fight. How do you fight? You keep loving. Let me tell you, I want to say we love you. We thank you. And I'm praying you've been blessed these series. Go back, share them. You and your children, sit down and ask them, you feel like that? your partner. You feel like that? Go back and have the conversations. I'm hoping that we've stimulated something for conversation, and I'm asking that you would support us to continue the work that God has commissioned to our hands. You can do that real quickly. You can just go over to Cash App, $ RFC Houston, your green button, the green $sign button right there, RFC Houston. Or what you can do is, if you don't have Cash App, just go online, www.rfchouston.org. Or for my next generationers, just text Remnant, REMNANT, to 73256. Either way, your support, great, small, it helps us continue to do the work that God has called us all to, and that's kingdom. We love you. We bless God for you. We're looking forward to hearing the testimonies of you and your family. So one more time, we're praying for you and your family. You pray for us and our families. And together we keep moving forward, being everything that God has intended for us to be. We love you. God bless you and your family.